Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another round of sound. This is the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. I'm Bob Pompeani. We are live tonight, and it's going to be a very interesting 30 minutes filled with very interesting opinions. We have a lot to talk about with the Pirates trading Garrett Cole, but the #1 topic tonight on the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown, the elimination of the Pittsburgh Steelers and how it came to be. And here is your panel left to right on your television screen. We have Joe Stark, Raven Mad. Joe Starkey from Starkey and Muller, 93.7 The Fan, is back in studio. Will Graves, outstanding journalist with the Associated Press, and Mr. Tim Benz, who is on Trib live and with the Pittsburgh Steelers radio network. A lot to get into, gents. I want to start with the blame game. Plenty of it to go around. So, Tim, I know that all of you guys were in that locker room today, especially the Jacksonville side. You heard some of what went on there. I want to get to that in a second. But from a Steeler point of view, what was the #1 reason why they lost this game today?
Well, if you want me to go with the blame game angle, I will blame whoever wants to take blame for the fourth down calls. I thought they were pathetic. I thought the setup for the last one that you showed in your highlights, Bob, just a few moments ago, when it came down to Ben Roethlisberger throwing on 4th and 1, if I remember correctly, didn't they run behind Rosie Nix on 1st down and 2nd down? Then they took him off the field on 3rd down.
Exactly.
There was a stoppage of play before 4th down. They put him back on the field, then took him off again. And then Roethlisberger ends up throwing the ball. Whatever the run-pass option or whatever the allowed check down is for Roethlisberger, it shouldn't be in there. Turn around and hand the ball to Le'Veon Bell behind Nix. If Nix isn't in that situation, why is he on the roster? Why is he dressing? I can't believe they did what they did on those 2 4th downs and that pitch backwards 5 yards to gain 1 yard on the first quarter or first half 4th and 1 might have been even worse.
That is not the #1 reason. I agree with everything you just said, except that that's the #1 reason they lost. It's a defense for a franchise that made its name and won its championships largely with defense to come out there today and get carved up by Blake freaking Bortles. No sacks, no turnovers, couldn't stop the run, couldn't stop the pass. They were horrendous. The offense was not great, even though they put up 42. The defense was awful.
You know, no fear for the Jaguars either. I mean, last week against the Bills, Jags were afraid to do anything with Bortles. I mean, he couldn't even complete a pass out to the flat. Today, he looked like Boomer Esiason in '88 with the Bengals with the play action. They were not afraid of the Steelers secondary. They were not afraid of the Steelers linebackers. And look, it sounds stupid to complain about what's going on at linebacker when Ryan Shazier is in the position that he's in. However, today is the first game since he's been out where they missed him. I mean, Fournette was running all over the place.
Why does that sound stupid? The Patriots lost Dante Hightower. They're doing fine. Rob Gronkowski.
Julian Edelman.
There are different types of injuries, though. Those guys are walking, correct? I just think that's
okay, well, it's separate from
it's completely different.
From the seriousness of the injury. On the football field, guys need to be replaced, and other teams are doing that.
Right.
They're replacing the most important.
Why Sean Spence was sitting on the couch as good as a dude Sean Spence.
So why didn't they have a better option than him?
What do you mean? How do you plan for your top linebacker to suffer a life-altering injury?
Anybody can get hurt. Anybody can get hurt.
No, but to Joe's earlier point, though, Will, I mean, even though that Ryan Shazier is a big component to replace, at least on 1 or 2 drives against Blake Bortles, get a stop. Don't get blown off the line or have the front part of your defense before you get to the second level of the linebackers ripped to shreds so the linebackers are less important to have to fill holes and make plays. Have the defensive line win a battle or two.
Teams are losing quarterbacks and going to NFC and AFC title games, or at least the NFC title games.
Yeah, but I mean, go ahead, Pom Pom.
No, I was going to say, since we got into a little bit of a play calling, real quick, I want to get this out of there because we may forget about it. That is the onside kick call. Joe, I was not a fan of that because they still had a lot of time left, 2 timeouts, 2-minute warning. Plus, you knew Jackson was going to be somewhat conservative in that situation, so why not just pin him deep and do it that way? Why
Don't ask me,
kick it?
Why did Mike Tomlin go for a 2-point conversion from the 12-yard line against this same team at the beginning of the fourth quarter 10 years ago? It was an act of insanity is what it was today, Bob. Kick the ball and try. Well,
they hadn't stopped them, Joe. They had not stopped them in the fourth quarter.
Well, they had once in a while.
They had the ball twice.
Yeah, but Jacksonville would have been conservative,
right
don't you think?
down the field both times in the fourth quarter. Mike didn't think they could stop them. That's why he tried an onside
Man,
kick.
is that an unbelievable indictment of that Those guys thought they were going to beat Tom Brady, and their coach did an onside kick with more than 2 minutes left because he doesn't believe in his own defense.
With 2 timeouts and the 2-minute warning. At first, I was of Will's school of thought here when it came to get the onside kick, just try for it because you can't stop them. But, then I looked back at it and said, no, it made less and less sense as I got further away from the game. And the reason I say that is for a guy, especially like Mike Tomlin, who always says, don't live in your fears. He just told us how afraid he was of having his own defense on the football field in that game. Against
It's accepting reality. I mean, today the defense was not good. It's Mike saying, look, my defense sucks today. We need the ball.
Yeah, but again, it looked to me like Jacksonville at that point was going to be somewhat conservative. I'd rather give them the ball deeper in their own territory so I have a chance. If my defense, you got to believe a little bit in your defense. I understood the philosophy there. Another issue was overconfidence coming into this game. Pittsburgh people downplayed it, although today after the game, David DeCastro said it was real and it was legit. And today all 3 of you guys were in that Jacksonville locker room. And we saw some of these quotes here. I saw on Tim's Twitter feed, one guy said, my dad always told me, pay attention to what's in front of you. I guess they didn't do that. And then Malik Jackson says they received a butt kicking, acted like they didn't, so they got their butts kicked again, and now they have to think about their offseason getting their butts kicked by Jacksonville. So, Will, how big of a factor was all of this distraction and talk looking ahead?
I mean, look, I think all 3 of us sitting here probably, and maybe you too, Pomp, assumed the Steelers would beat the Jaguars, as did everybody else outside of Jacksonville. So I don't want to just blame the players like they were the only guys that didn't think that the Jaguars could beat them. That being said, look, I have never been in a locker room as chesty as the Jaguars were today.
I'll echo that. I've been doing this now for 20 years. I've never seen one locker room enjoy beating another locker room as much as Jacksonville enjoyed beating Pittsburgh today. And it's one of these things where it's perception is reality, right? Well, Ben Roethlisberger clearly didn't mean, I want the Jaguars again because I think they're soft. Mike Mitchell said what he said on December 29th. I get that. Le'Veon Bell, well, there's no couching that. That was dumb to tweet when
How about the head coach?
And then the head coach, right, way back in November talking about the Patriots. That was perceived by the Jaguars as a direct diss, whether it was meant to be or not. And we all know, we can try to downplay.
How can it not be? They were talking about playing the Patriots a month ago.
We can try to downplay this in Pittsburgh if some of us want to, but we all know, think back to 2001. Lee Flowers, paper champion, screaming at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It makes for great copy when your team does it and shows up another team that overlooks you, but when your team does it, you try to soften it and mollify it and pretend that it didn't really have an impact. You couldn't have been in that Jacksonville locker room today and not thought that it had an impact.
When you look at the way the game started, too, I mean, Steelers win the toss, they defer. You think, oh, great, 3 and out. Steelers get the ball, the 40 midfield, go down, score a touchdown, game over. The Jags were hot from the start. I certainly believe that the dissing played a role in their initial emotional surge. That being said, I mean, what NFL coach doesn't expect his team to win? What NFL player doesn't expect his team to win on any given weekend unless you play for the Browns? So why are we killing the Steelers for thinking they're going to win? I just don't get it.
We're killing the Steelers because they're talking about a team and a game that never happened. That's why. And if you're going to talk like that, you better win. Then you'll be the 90s Cowboys, and you'll have all kinds of swagger, and you'll be able to back it up. Whether it had an effect on the field today, I don't know. But when you don't win, you become a punchline, and you deserve everything you get.
Yeah, it wasn't quite the rap video against the San Diego Chargers, but in lore, it's not going to go down all too far away from that. And Mike Tomlin likes to talk about the Patriots being the elephant in the room. His new elephant is in Jacksonville, because this is twice now where they've done it to him in the same season, 2 times in a row, and ending a playoff in the first round where he's had a chance to play. And that elephant in the room, the Patriots, they are the exact opposite of what the Steelers did today in this week. The Jacksonville Jaguars are not going to have the advantage of the Patriots overlooking Jacksonville to Team X from the NFC, because they think exactly the opposite, and they never let crap like this get out of their mouths before a game of this magnitude.
We are due for a break. We'll take it when we come back. We'll talk about changes that may or should be made. We'll get into that and plenty more, including Garrett Cole. We'll talk about that trade that happened yesterday, the night before, Steeler playoff game. Lots to head coming here on the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. The #1 Cochran Sports Showdown is brought to you by #1 Cochran. Go one better. And by Highmark Blue Cross Blue Shield. Have a greater hand in your health.